The calm before the storm. Sarah Martinez stood in her kitchen, the warm aroma of roasting turkey filling the air as Christmas carols played softly in the background. Her husband James, a quantum physicist at the nearby research facility, would be home in just a few hours. After 15 years of marriage, she had perfected his favorite holiday meal, turkey with cranberry sauce, garlic mashed potatoes, and her signature honey-glazed carrots. The kitchen window offered a perfect view of the snow-covered Colorado mountains, their peaks disappearing into low-hanging clouds. It was their first Christmas in the new house, a beautiful colonial-style home tucked away in the scientific community of Cedar Springs, where many of the country's brightest minds lived and worked on classified projects. As she basted the turkey, her phone buzzed with a message from James, "Might be a little late. Strange readings in the lab. Don't worry, nothing serious. Love you." Sarah smiled, used to her husband's dedication to his work. His latest project involved something about phase-shifting matter between dimensional planes. Most of it went over her head, but she loved how his eyes lit up when he talked about it. The local news played quietly on the kitchen TV as she chopped vegetables for the salad. A story about unusual atmospheric disturbances caught her attention. Scientists at the National Weather Service are puzzled by unprecedented electromagnetic anomalies detected in the upper atmosphere, the reporter announced. Officials assure the public there is no cause for concern. Sarah's knife paused mid-chop. Something about the report made her uneasy. In 15 years of marriage to a physicist, she developed what James called a scientific intuition. When things seemed off, they usually were. Her thoughts were interrupted by a sharp knock at the door. Strange, they weren't expecting company, and most of their neighbors were away for the holidays. Through the peephole, she saw Dr. Elena Chen, James's colleague and their next-door neighbor. The usually composed scientist looked disheveled, her face pale. "Sarah, thank God you're home," Elena burst out as soon as the door opened. "Have you heard from James? He texted a little while ago. Something about strange readings." Sarah's unease grew as she noticed Elena's hands trembling. "Elena, what's wrong?" The scientist glanced nervously at the sky. "We need to get to the basement. Now. And bring your phone, we need to contact James." "My turkey's in the oven," Sarah protested weakly, even as her instincts screamed that something was terribly wrong. "Forget the turkey," Elena grabbed her arm. "What I'm about to tell you is classified, but given the circumstances." She took a deep breath. "Those atmospheric disturbances? They're not natural. We've detected multiple objects entering Earth's atmosphere, following precise patterns that suggest intelligent control. And they're headed straight for research facilities like ours." Sarah's mind raced to process this information. "Are you saying?" "Yes," Elena nodded grimly. "We're about to have some very unwelcome Christmas dinner guests. And they're not from around here." Before Sarah could respond, a deep thrumming filled the air, making the windows vibrate. The Christmas lights flickered, and her phone screen went dark. Outside, the clouds parted to reveal something that shouldn't be possible, a massive, dark shape blocking out the winter sun, its surface gleaming with an otherworldly iridescence. "They're here," Elena whispered. "And they're probably looking for exactly what James has been working on." Sarah's cooking timer chose that moment to cheerfully announce that the turkey needed basting. The ordinary sound seemed absurd in the face of what was happening. But it sparked something in Sarah, a fierce determination. This was her home, her Christmas dinner, her planet. "Help me get the turkey out first," she said firmly, heading to the kitchen. Elena gaped at her. "If we're going to deal with aliens, we might as well not let a perfectly good bird burn. Besides," she added, grabbing her sharpest kitchen knife, "I have some questions about what exactly my husband has been working on that might attract extraterrestrial attention." As they moved the turkey to safety, Sarah's mind was already working on a plan. James had always said her ability to stay calm and think strategically under pressure would have made her a great scientist. Now, Facing an alien invasion in the middle of Christmas dinner preparations, she was about to put those skills to the ultimate test. Thunder rolled overhead, except it wasn't thunder at all. And as Sarah looked out her kitchen window one last time, she saw more shapes emerging from the clouds, their formations suggesting this was no casual visit. Christmas dinner was officially interrupted, and somehow, she had a feeling that dealing with unexpected extraterrestrial guests would be the least of her problems. First contact. Sarah clutched her kitchen knife tighter as the deep thrumming overhead intensified. Through the basement's sophisticated monitoring equipment, she and Dr. Elena Chen watched in stunned silence as the massive alien vessels positioned themselves strategically around Cedar Springs. The turkey sat forgotten on the counter above, a mundane reminder of how quickly normalcy had evaporated. "Those energy signatures," Elena muttered, her fingers flying across the holographic keyboard. "They're unlike anything we've ever seen. The way they're dispersing their gravitational field to maintain hover, it's decades beyond our most advanced theories." Sarah's eyes narrowed as she studied the tactical display. "They're creating a perimeter," she observed. "Military formation. I grew up on an Air Force base, and that's definitely a containment pattern." Elena shot her a surprised look. "You never mentioned that." "Just like James never mentioned our basement was a high-tech command center," Sarah replied dryly. "Seems we all have our secrets." She pointed to a cluster of smaller vessels breaking away from the main fleet. "What are those doing?" Before Elena could answer, the basement's communication system crackled to life. A voice filled the room, not human, but not entirely alien either. It had an artificial quality, as if processed through multiple layers of translation software. "Residents of Research Facility 7, this is Commander Xylith of the Skatanii Expeditionary Force. We have already secured Dr. James Martinez and other key personnel. Resistance is inadvisable. We require immediate access to all phase shift research data." Sarah's heart jumped at the mention of James, but her voice remained steady. "What have you done with my husband?" "Dr. Martinez is unharmed," the voice replied. "His cooperation has been voluntary, given the circumstances. The situation is more complex than you understand." Elena's hands paused over the controls. "They're not just here for the technology," she whispered. "This is something else. The way they're positioning their ships, they're not preparing to attack. They're preparing to defend." As if confirming her words, new alerts flashed across the screens. More objects were entering Earth's atmosphere, but these moved differently, aggressive, direct. The Skatanii ships immediately began repositioning. "Dr. Chen is correct," Commander Xylith's voice returned, tension now evident even through the translation. "We are not your enemies. The Skatanii Orthodox fleet approaches, they cannot be allowed to claim this world or its innovations. The phase shift technology is vital to the survival of both our species." Sarah thought of James's last message about the aliens running from something. "What exactly are you running from?" she demanded. A pause. "Something ancient. Something that devours worlds. We discovered its existence too late. Your husband's breakthrough, it offers a chance we thought lost millennia ago. A way to shift entire civilizations beyond its reach." Multiple proximity alerts suddenly blared through the command center. The new vessels had arrived, their designs markedly different from the Skatanii ships, all sharp angles and aggressive lines compared to the smooth, iridescent curves of the First Fleet. "Time has run out," Xylith announced grimly. "The Orthodox believe destruction is preferable to using forbidden technologies. They will glass this entire region rather than allow the phase shift research to continue." Sarah's mind raced. Years of handling complex dinner parties and family crises had honed her ability to think under pressure. "Elena, does the phase shift technology work on organic matter? Living beings?" "Theoretically, yes. James proved it in simulations, but we never." Elena's eyes widened as she grasped Sarah's thinking. "You want to shift the entire town?" Better than letting them destroy it, Sarah replied. She addressed the comm system. Commander Xylith, what if we could prove the technology works? Not just on buildings or machines, but on living populations. Such proof would challenge Orthodox doctrine, Xylith replied carefully. Their entire philosophy is based on the belief that consciousness cannot survive dimensional translation. If you could demonstrate otherwise. Sarah squared her shoulders. Then let's give them a demonstration. Elena, pull up everything you have on James's organic matter trials. Commander, I need you to buy us time. And. She glanced upward, I need someone to check on my turkey. If we're going to save the world on Christmas, we might as well do it on a full stomach. As Elena dove into the research data and the two alien fleets engaged in a tense standoff overhead, Sarah allowed herself a small smile. James had always said her cooking brought people together. She just never imagined those people would include warring alien factions. High above Cedar Springs, the Orthodox fleet began its attack formation. They had come to destroy a blasphemous technology. Instead, they were about to witness something unprecedented, a Christmas dinner that would change the course of interstellar history. The phase shift solution. The basement command center had transformed into an unlikely war room. Sarah's perfectly cooked turkey now sat at the center of a holographic tactical display, surrounded by circuit boards, quantum computers, and enough advanced technology to make MIT jealous. Dr. Elena Chen worked frantically at multiple screens while Sarah coordinated with Commander Xylith, using her event planning experience in a way she'd never imagined. The Orthodox fleet is charging their main weapons, Xylith's translated voice reported. We estimate 17 minutes until they can generate enough power for a planetary strike. Sarah studied the tactical display, her mind racing. Elena, show me James's notes on organic matter transfer again. The holographic screens shifted, displaying complex equations and test results. There, look at that trial with the lab rat. James managed to shift it between dimensions while keeping its consciousness intact. But that was one rat, Elena objected, her fingers flying over the keyboards. You're talking about shifting an entire town, possibly more. The energy requirements alone would be exactly what those ships are generating right now, Sarah finished. She turned to the comm system. Commander, those Orthodox ships, they're building up a massive energy field, right? Correct. Their gravitational weapons require tremendous power concentration. A smile crossed Sarah's face, the same smile she wore when solving particularly challenging recipe conversions. What if we could hijack that power? Use their own energy against them? Elena's eyes widened as she grasped the concept. Like a cosmic jujitsu. The Orthodox are generating exactly the kind of energy field we'd need for a large-scale phase shift. If we could somehow tap into it. We can, a new voice joined the conversation. James's face appeared on one of the screens, looking tired but excited. I'm transmitting data from the Skatanii ship. Sarah, honey, you're brilliant. You have a lot of explaining to do, Sarah replied, but her relief at seeing him safe was evident. Starting with why our basement looks like NASA mission control. Let me make it up to you with this, James said, sending a stream of data. The Skatanii have been helping me refine the phase shift calculations. We can do this, but we need three things: their power source, our technology, and... He paused dramatically, your turkey. My turkey? Sarah blinked. The organic matter transfer requires a biological calibration point, something that exists in both states, cooked and raw, dead and alive. The turkey is perfect. Plus, he added with a small smile, I'm starving up here. The Orthodox fleet chose that moment to begin their final approach. The windows vibrated with their energy buildup, Christmas ornaments tinkling ominously on the tree upstairs. The turkey it is, Sarah decided. Elena, help me get it hooked up to whatever we need. James, coordinate with the Skatanii. And someone please tell me we have a way to explain all this to the neighbors. The next 15 minutes were a blur of activity. The turkey, now wired with enough sensors to make it look like a sci-fi Christmas dinner, became the centerpiece of their desperate plan. Elena and James worked to modify the phase shift equipment while Sarah coordinated with Commander Xylith's fleet. Orthodox command is demanding our surrender, Xylith reported. They're quite insulted that we haven't responded. Keep ignoring them, Sarah advised, remembering countless holiday dinner parties where silence was the best response to difficult relatives. How's our power transfer coming? Their energy field is at 70%. We've synchronized our ships to channel it when ready. A pause. They're starting their final countdown. Sarah took a deep breath, looking at the monitors showing their peaceful mountain town. Somewhere up there, 2 alien fleets were about to decide Earth's fate. In their basement, humanity's most advanced technology was wired to her Christmas turkey. And the success of their plan depended on precise timing, complex physics, and a little bit of holiday miracle. James, she said softly, remember our first Christmas? When I burned the turkey and we ended up eating Chinese takeout. Best Christmas ever, he replied warmly. Until now. Orthodox fleet is in position, Elena reported. Energy readings are maximal. Skatanii ships are ready, Xylith added. Awaiting your command. Sarah straightened her apron, which she'd somehow kept on through all of this. Well then, let's show them how we do Christmas dinner in Cedar Springs. Elena, start the sequence. James, monitor the phase shift. Commander, on my mark. The Orthodox ships loomed above, their weapons glowing with destructive power. But as Sarah gave the signal, that same power was about to be turned against them in a way they never expected. Cedar Springs was about to host the most unusual Christmas dinner in human history, one that would either save them all or end in spectacular failure. The phase shift began, and reality itself started to bend. Sarah watched the monitors, held her breath, and hoped that somewhere in all those advanced calculations, there was room for a Christmas miracle. Dimensional divide. The air crackled with energy as the phase shift sequence initiated. Sarah's turkey, now the unlikely centerpiece of humanity's most ambitious scientific experiment, glowed with an otherworldly blue light. Through the basement's monitoring systems, they watched as reality began to bend around Cedar Springs. Power transfer at 60%, Elena announced, her voice tense. The Orthodox fleet's energy is feeding directly into our phase shift matrix. They've noticed, Commander Xylith reported. Their weapon systems are attempting to compensate. We're detecting massive power fluctuations. Sarah watched the readings, remembering how James had once explained quantum mechanics using her cookie dough as an analogy. Like folding ingredients, she muttered. We're not fighting their energy, we're folding it into our recipe. The screens showed the Orthodox ships struggling against their own power being redirected. But something was wrong. The energy patterns weren't stabilizing as they should. James, Elena called out urgently, the quantum field isn't maintaining cohesion. We're losing the pattern. On his screen, James frantically worked with the Skatanii scientists. The conversion ratio is off. The organic matter template, the turkey, it's not providing a strong enough baseline for a shift this size. Sarah's eyes narrowed. Because it's just one turkey. She activated her comm link to the Skatanii ship. Commander Xylith, I need you to broadcast on all frequencies, in all languages you know. Tell everyone in Cedar Springs to turn on their ovens. Now. Their ovens? Xylith sounded confused even through the translation. Trust me, Sarah insisted. Elena, patch me into the emergency broadcast system. Moments later, Sarah's voice echoed through every radio, TV, and phone in Cedar Springs. Attention everyone, this is not a drill. Turn on your ovens. If you have a turkey, ham, or any holiday roast cooking, even better. Don't ask questions, just do it. For Earth. Sarah, what are you thinking? James asked. You said we need organic matter in multiple states as a quantum template, she explained. One turkey isn't enough, but hundreds of holiday dinners cooking simultaneously. That's a different story. Understanding dawned on Elena's face. A distributed organic quantum matrix. The phase shift could anchor itself to multiple points across the city. The readings began to change as, one by one, ovens throughout Cedar Springs came to life. Each one added to the quantum template, strengthening the phase shift field. It's working, James exclaimed. The field is stabilizing. But. He paused, checking new data. There's a problem. The Orthodox aren't just fighting back, they're trying to reverse the process. If they succeed, the backlash could tear reality apart. The basement shook as temporal energies clashed overhead. Through the monitoring system, they could see parts of Cedar Springs flickering between dimensions, like a television with poor reception. We need more power, Elena announced grimly. The Orthodox are pulling too much energy back. Then let's give them a taste of their own medicine, Sarah decided. Commander Xylith, can your ships generate a feedback loop? When they try to reclaim their energy, give them more than they can handle. Dangerous, Xylith replied, but possible. However, the feedback could affect both dimensions. Whatever reality we shift to could become permanently sealed off, no way back. Sarah looked at the screens showing her home, her neighborhood, her life. Everything she knew might be about to change forever. James. What do you think? I think, he replied softly, that home is wherever we are together. Even if that's in another dimension. The Orthodox ships pressed their attack, reality buckling under the strain. In homes across Cedar Springs, holiday dinners continued cooking, their combined quantum signature growing stronger by the second. Alert from the Skatanii fleet, Elena reported. The Orthodox are preparing their final strike. It's now or never. Sarah squared her shoulders, her decision made. Commander Xylith, initiate the feedback loop. James, prepare for final phase shift. Elena. She managed a small smile, check on my turkey. If we're going to another dimension, I don't want it to burn. As the commands were given and the machinery hummed to life, Sarah thought about all the Christmases she and James had shared. Each one special, each one memorable in its own way. But this would be the Christmas that changed everything. The Orthodox fleet's energy beam struck just as the feedback loop engaged. Reality itself seemed to hold its breath as two dimensions battled for control of Cedar Springs. And in the center of it all, a Christmas turkey continued to cook, its quantum signature rippling through space and time. The phase shift reached its critical point. Sarah reached for the final control, ready to make a decision that would affect not just their lives, but the very fabric of reality. As her hand touched the switch, she whispered, "Merry Christmas, Earth. I hope we're doing the right thing." The ultimate gift. Reality rippled like heat waves over hot asphalt as Cedar Springs balanced on the knife edge between dimensions. Sarah's hand remained on the final control switch, the weight of two civilizations pressing down on her decision. Above, the Orthodox fleet's energy weapons clashed with the Skatanii's defensive systems, creating an aurora borealis of destructive power. Quantum field reaching critical mass, Elena reported, her voice steady despite the chaos. The feedback loop is working, maybe too well. We're getting energy readings off the charts. On his screen, James worked frantically with the Skatanii scientists. The Orthodox ships are starting to overload. Their power systems can't handle the feedback. Sarah, honey, we need to make the jump now, or there won't be anything left to save. Through the monitoring system, Sarah watched as hundreds of holiday meals cooked across Cedar Springs, each one adding to the quantum matrix that would guide their dimensional shift. The Orthodox fleet's energy merged with their own systems, amplified by the Skatanii's feedback loop, creating a power source unlike anything in human history. Wait, Sarah said suddenly, noticing something in the readings. Elena, look at the quantum signature pattern. It's not just chaos, there's a rhythm to it. Elena studied the data, her eyes widening. Like a pulse, or a heartbeat. The organic matter isn't just providing a template, it's creating a resonance pattern. The winter feast, Commander Xylith's voice joined in, sounding almost awed. Our ancestors spoke of it, how sharing food could bridge impossible gaps. We thought it was just mythology, but sometimes the oldest stories contain the deepest truths, Sarah finished. She straightened her apron, decision made. James, remember what you said about that thing the aliens are running from? The ancient force that devours worlds. Yes, but what does that? He stopped, understanding dawning. Sarah, you're not thinking. I am. She turned to the comm system. Commander Xylith, you said the Orthodox believe consciousness can't survive a phase shift. But what if the shift isn't just about moving through space? What if it's about moving through time? The basement hummed with power as Sarah outlined her plan. It was crazy, dangerous, and probably impossible. But then again, so was cooking Christmas dinner during an alien invasion. If we modify the quantum resonance pattern, Elena said slowly, working through the calculations, we could theoretically create a temporal pocket. Not just shifting to another dimension, but sending a message back through time, James finished. Warning both our civilizations about the ancient threat before it's too late. The combined quantum signature of all these holiday meals, it's creating a pattern strong enough to pierce the temporal barrier. The Orthodox fleet's attack reached its crescendo, their weapons straining against the feedback loop. But now, instead of fighting it, Sarah planned to use that very power to save everyone, including their attackers. Commander Xylith, tell your ships to prepare for a modified phase shift, Sarah ordered. Elena, reconfigure the quantum matrix to amplify the temporal resonance. James. She smiled, get ready to come home for dinner. As the commands were given and the machinery adjusted, Sarah thought about all the Christmases yet to come, not just for her family, but for every family, human and alien alike. The Orthodox weren't their enemies, they were just afraid. And sometimes, the best way to fight fear was with hope. And turkey. Quantum resonance at maximum. Elena announced. Temporal field forming. Orthodox fleet systems are overloading, Xylith reported. The feedback loop is creating a cascading reaction. Now, Sarah. James called out. It has to be now. Sarah took a deep breath and pulled the switch. Reality bent, twisted, and transformed around them. The quantum resonance of hundreds of holiday meals, amplified by alien technology and human determination, pierced through time and space itself. In that moment, as dimensions shifted and time folded in on itself, something remarkable happened. The Orthodox fleet, caught in the temporal wave, received a message from their own future, a warning about the ancient threat, but also a promise of hope. A demonstration that consciousness could indeed survive the impossible, carried on the quantum resonance of shared meals and shared purpose. When reality stabilized, Cedar Springs found itself exactly where it had always been, but changed. The Orthodox fleet hung motionless in the sky, their weapons powered down. The Skatanii ships maintained their defensive position, but the tension had transformed into something else, anticipation. What did you do? Elena whispered, staring at the readings. Gave them a Christmas gift, Sarah replied simply. A second chance. A warning about what's coming, and proof that we can face it together. James's voice came through the comm, thick with emotion. The temporal message, it worked. Both fleets received it. The Orthodox are standing down. They're requesting a meeting. With all of us. Commander Xylith's transmission carried a note of joy that transcended translation. The Ancient Ones spoke truly. The sharing of food can indeed bridge any gap, even through time itself. Sarah Martinez, you have given both our peoples a future. Sarah looked at her monitoring screens one last time, watching as both alien fleets began peaceful docking procedures. Well, she said, straightening her apron, if we're going to have guests for Christmas dinner, I'd better get back to the kitchen. Elena, would you mind setting extra places? And James. She smiled, hurry home. Your turkey is getting cold. As the sun set on the most unusual Christmas in Cedar Springs history, Sarah Martinez headed back to her kitchen. She had an alien peace conference to cater, a husband to welcome home, and a turkey that had just helped save 2 civilizations. Sometimes, she reflected, the greatest miracles really did come in the most ordinary packages. And sometimes, the best Christmas gifts weren't the ones you found under the tree, but the ones you created by having the courage to reach across the impossible and offer hope. Even if that meant cooking Christmas dinner during an alien invasion. The end.